And welcome back to the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast. Ryan Burr, as always, with the founder of the Junior Golf Hub, Roger Nick. Roger, got to get your take on a couple of items for sure. Let's start with another just wild USM. You think about the favorite by the time he got there was Luke Clanton, except for the fact that he had to play about 75 holes on the PGA Tour over the weekend at the Wyndham. I'm curious. Obviously, it affected him. And this is an insane take. But as an amateur who's already top five a couple times on the PGA Tour, knowing how much the USM meant to him, do you think it was in his best interest to play the Wyndham, which would be the day before? Remember, he had to play, knew all along he would have to play the USM on Monday.
Ryan, that's a great question. I would say for any player at that level, you're just trying to compete, right? I mean, we've heard that so many times, and every coach that we've actually had on the podcast talk about they love to see players to compete. I would say also in this case, he's just trying to compete. Didn't know the weather, didn't know what was going to happen. Obviously, unfortunate for him to have to play so many holes in that few a days. And it obviously showed. I mean, clearly the young man is ready to play at the next level. Very disappointing, I'm sure, for many of the top amateurs that were in the field being knocked out, in the semis or before the semis, really. So,
I mean, that's match play, though, right? I
yeah.
mean, it is incredibly entertaining. It's always been the case. Do you believe match play does identify the best player?
If you're doing match play multiple times in a very similar scenario, yes, I think it could. But it's the best player today, right? I mean, as we saw and as we see in any match play scenario, whether it's the girls junior, or whether it's the women's AM, whether it's boys and the amateur, I mean, yeah, I mean, but that's what you play for. You play today. I mean, tomorrow is tomorrow. Today is today. So, the right winner won in this scenario of how golf is, and which very exciting finish. I'm sure you watched it. I mean, I know we were, kind of I was thinking, wow. I mean, this might be a layup, right, for Ballestero, but at the same time, made it interesting down the stretch. I mean, Kent made it. So, what a great event. And it was fun to see, and it was fun to see friend Colt Nost out there talking about his experiences, winning the AM, and I think it's great for golf, and I think it just goes to show again how deep the game is in so many ways. But I will say, an American didn't win it.
Yeah, yeah. One of the guests on the Hub of Junior Golf podcast a while ago, but Auburn now senior Brendan Valdez, he made the Final Four. So I mean,
Yeah.
some great history there. Well, we welcome in an old friend, a head coach at the University of Texas, Coach Laura Ianello. Coach, thanks so much for joining us. Listen, when you left the podcast the last time, Roger and I talked about how easily it would be for us or anyone to run through a wall and go play for you at the University of Arizona. I'm sure that is still the case, but obviously you are now the head coach at the University of Texas. So let's just start with, I'm sure, a really difficult decision after nearly 15 years at Arizona. Really, what you did with that program was amazing. What went into the decision, and how difficult was it to go to what everyone considers one of the great American schools out there in the University of Texas?
Oh, well, of course, with being at Arizona for 17 years, it wasn't the easiest decision, but getting the call to come to Texas, I think, Texas having won the Directors Cup the last 3 out of the 4 years, it's really an elite program with elite coaches, elite athletes. And I think it was just time for me to try to level up a little bit and see maybe if I can have success at a new program. And so I kind of took it on as kind of a new adventure for me and my family and my career, and there's not a better place than Texas.
Yeah. So how is Austin treating you so far? I mean, I love the barbecue there, but there's got to be more than just that.
So far so good. I'm actually in the car here with Braden, my my assistant. Sorry for the casual setting, but Austin's been fantastic. I think people, think of Texas as being flat and tornadoes, but Austin is a lot of hill country, gorgeous golf courses, gorgeous golf venues. The University of Texas, the campus, is a beautiful place. Getting my family situated, and my girls started school last week. My husband is super happy. He travels for work, Central Time Zone. So it's been fantastic.
Let's talk a little bit about UT. I mean, obviously, Coach Fields in the men's program, he's been there for 100 years. He has had unbelievable success. He was actually on the podcast just last week, so to have an opportunity to coach to him, but winning national championships, sending elite players to the next level, seeing what he did with the men's program, did that enter at all into your decision in, wow, if I could do this, this would be iconic?
Without a doubt, I think that's also probably one of the big reasons why I decided to come to Texas, is because the women's golf program has not won a national championship. They have gotten runner up multiple times, and so I see that as a great opportunity to hopefully to be the first. I know every head coach that comes into Texas, they're expected to have success, so I kind of like that too. I'm at the point of my career where I want that pressure, I want that push for me to grow and professionally. And Coach Fields, having had won two national championships too, just recently, two within the last 12 years, just tells me too, if you get the right person in there, you work really, really hard, and you can have success. And Coach Fields gave me some great advice day one. He said, Laura, you better be ready to work harder than you've ever worked in your entire life. And I feel that, but I said, that's why I made the move, is to see if I can do this at Texas.
Yeah, Coach, that actually brings up a really probably a tough question, which is the job that you have at hand now. You're inheriting a class, you're inheriting a program. Obviously, good players, solid players there, done well. But now you're tasked to take it to another level with those players and then some. How does that transition look when it comes to, I'm going to say this for the audience here, how does that transition look for the parents or the players looking to be recruited or want to go play for Texas? Now, what do you tell them? How does that work for you?
Well, to be honest, I mean, I had success at Arizona, and so I'm kind of keeping my same philosophy. And my mission, I've told Braden and my assistant Garrett Fay, is we are to recruit the best athletes in the world. We are to recruit women who are driven to, one, win championships, and two, to take school seriously. Texas is an amazing academic institution, and so I think I'm not straying from that. And I'm very lucky, lucky because a lot of coaches, when they take over a new program, it's a little bit of rebuilding. That is not the case at Texas. It's that I have been gifted, eight women that are phenomenal players. And so with that, it's just continuing to help them, to elevate them, to encourage them, that we can go out and win a championship, and that you can be the first. It can be done. I've done it, so just giving them that love that they need, and letting them know that, if you dream big enough and you work hard, that anything is possible. And same with recruits. It's like, if you want to win, if you want to be pushed to another level and given every resource at your fingertips, Texas has that.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm curious, Coach, from what you can tell us. You know, you've had incredible success. The Texas ladies have had incredible success, just coming up short. There is that moment when you take the job. You are now the head coach of Texas, and you are inheriting eight players that you did not recruit to play for you, eight players that did not sign at Texas to play for you. How does that conversation, phone call, meeting go? And what's the buy-in been like?
I'm very lucky that we were able to take, Braden and I went to the women's amateur, the British, and we were able to take six of the women with us, like the first week or second week in June. And so we got to actually travel with the Texas women's golf team. Not many coaches get to do that the first week on their job. And luckily, too, I recruited a lot of these women that are at Texas, I recruited them at Arizona. So I had already had those relationships, not with all of them, but a lot of them. And I think the most important thing is just making sure that these women know that I am there to help develop them, to encourage them, to push them, and really I think hone in on where in their games they need to continue to get better to play professional, because every woman on our Texas women's golf team, they do want to play pro. They want to go to that next level, and making sure that I can give them the advice and the skills that it will take so they're prepared when they do finish school at Texas.
Yeah, Coach. So I've had the great pleasure of being both at University of Arizona and at UT there in Austin with the teams and see their facilities. Um, it's to your point, there are so many great resources at the fingertips there of every player, the coaches there to have success. With that being said, that is also tough, right? I mean, because you've got this culture of winning, you've got a culture of things happening, and it can be that you have too much, right? It's almost like it's not Spartak, it's not Spartan, it's really so plush and posh that you come in and go, man, I'm so pampered. How do you change? Do you go, hey, no, listen, this is a work, this is work, let's go.
Well, the University of Texas, what they do is they pour into so much for their athletes. They pour in so many resources when it comes to nutrition, when it comes to strength and conditioning, to all the external elements besides just the golf. That, it can be a lot, and it can be perceived as pampered, but you know, what I've seen from the women on our golf team, it's like they do the work. They are not these women that expect all of these extra added benefits. They're grateful for it. And I think making sure that I keep that motto going forward, just like I did at Arizona, where everything is not expected. It's a gift, and we need to show gratitude for all the things because it comes from somewhere. And at University of Texas, we're very, very supports athletics, and but yet there always needs to be a sense of gratitude.
That's a great answer. Talking with Coach Fields, I'll share another story. Is the fact for certainly for him, when you're recruiting uh, junior golfers to Texas, you could simply just trot out the resumes of guys like Scotty Scheffler and Jordan Spieth on why Texas would be a good place to go. Um, it is a little different when you're recruiting to Texas than a lot of other schools, because there is an understanding that Texas is going to be on just about every elite player's short list before recruiting even really starts. You ask girls where they want to go, it's Texas, it's Stanford. We know the drill, but Texas is kind of on everyone's list. Does that make the job easier or harder just because now the pool and the everyone wants to play at Texas, so you've got to make some hard choices? Does it make it easier or harder?
That's a great question, actually, Ryan. I will say the interest that I've gotten from the players in the United States has definitely escalated compared to my time at Arizona. But in trying to manage, I guess, or prioritize which top recruits we really want to go after, and are they local or are they more international? Which I had gone for more in Arizona. So I actually just delegating with my assistants, trying to figure out like who are the top recruits that we're going for. I would say it's probably a little harder, but yet it's easier in the fact that we do have, I would say, a lot more interest at the University of Texas than I did at Arizona.
Does that recruit profile change in your mind that you're in a different location? Obviously, your mission, your theme doesn't change, but does your profile of the athlete that you're trying to recruit into Texas change? Because it's a different environment than Arizona or other places.
No, I honestly I would say no, because we're still going after players that I would think can come to Texas, and I want them to play one or two for me right away. So the recruits that I am looking at, and like Braden was just in Europe last week, and we've been all over the place all summer. We're looking for recruits that are elite, like the top. So players, even in the United States, that we know and feel that could come in and play between the 1 and 2 spot. And we got to try for those athletes first. The girls that are consistently, shooting under par, and they're playing in big invitationals, they're playing in the biggest events. And then also then looking at our list, maybe 5 through 15 in the recruiting list, of like, okay, who looks like they can are continuing to grow, have potential, local, internationally, Asia, Europe, you name it. We are looking everywhere because, again, Texas, if you look at our roster right now, it's a heavily international group, but yet we have, Farrah O'Keefe, the star here from Austin, and you had Bentley Cotton, and then you got Tiffany Cow, who's from Dallas, but then you have all these Taiwanese and Koreans and all these, Lauren Kim from Canada. So it's a little bit to the point where I'm just trying to keep my flow like Arizona, but I feel like maybe I can get a few more top prospects.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Well, you are 50 days away, Coach, from making your national television debut at Texas. No pressure. You're only playing Stanford, New Mexico, and New Mexico State in match play, 6 straight hours on Golf Channel. Just not only that event, but just how incredible is it to get to Texas and just see all these crazy opportunities that, to be honest, just not every school is afforded, but Texas always seems to get that red carpet rolled out.
Well, exactly. And perfect example is the Nota Begay tournament in New Mexico coming up in October, and getting to play on TV against, the beloved Stanford, who just seems to be dominating women's golf right now. My good buddy Ann Walker. So it will be very good to compete against them, and Jill Trujillo at New Mexico, and then Danny at New Mexico State. But it's a lot. It's a lot of additional things that I think, to be honest with you, when I accepted the job, I didn't quite know was going to be there. And but with that, I love it because I'm continuing to grow as a head coach. It's all about getting uncomfortable and getting better at what we do every day. If we're not learning, what are we really doing? Just looking to go into retirement. So I have learned so much just in the last 3 months about what Texas has to offer, and the opportunities that the University of Texas gives these athletes, and then me as coaches. It's something remarkable, and I'm so excited and honored to be chosen for this position. To get the call to be named the new head coach at Texas. It's like, it was really, I felt like just a gift, for me, and that I needed to be here for, if it was me or this team or maybe even my husband and my family, who knows, right? It's all in God's plan. We don't know what it's about, but I just felt like I needed to be here. I was being called. So I'm excited for what everything that Texas has to bring.
That's a nice call to get. Coach, you mentioned just now about the players and coming in, and you're continuing to recruit and see how progress is made, and you're looking at who's going to step up and who's not going to step up. How do you look at that, and what are some of the things that you actually are looking at to say this girl has potential to come here and really shine? How are you looking at that? What are you viewing? So tell our audience some of the things that they need to be working on to catch your eye outside of rankings and outside of a 67 scoring average.
Well, honestly, I think when we look at recruits, is that we just overall we want to find a young lady who loves to compete. I want to find a woman who loves competition, who loves playing in tournaments, who overall just enjoys the experience of playing golf, and the progression, the highs, the lows. I love asking recruits, like, tell me about a time that you went through adversity, and then how did you get through that in your game? What was your mental strategy, and all these things? Because then that tells a story, and you really get to know these young people on whether or not do they love it, or do they do it just because mom and dad wants them to do it, or is it just something that they do it because they're kind of good, or do they really genuinely love the sport? I think too, I love an athlete. I love someone who not just plays golf, but they love to pick up a basketball, go shoot hoops. Someone who actually embraces the weight room, isn't scared to go on a 3 mile run, just focuses in on being an athlete. I think that is so important. Like if, because again, like if you're prepping for the LPGA, you need to look at people like Nelly Korda, Lydia Ko. What are these athletes doing? Scotty Scheffler. Go on Instagram and see what their pre-round, post-round workouts are. Like that's part of the trade of being a professional golfer. So being an athlete, and are you also genuinely a kind and caring human being? Because you're going to be on a golf team with us, and are you a little bit too much of an individual where you're just going to be focused on you, or are you going to bring value to a team? Because being on a team, it's really fun, but you don't want a bunch of jerks.
Yeah, you spend a lot of time with people, so you definitely don't want to hang out with a bunch of jerks. That's for sure.
Well, first off, let's thank Braden for keeping this on the road. Good job.
Yeah,
Uh,
absolutely.
you passed this test for sure. And Coach, we'll let you go. Congratulations again on the new gig. Obviously, that is some kind of destination to be at the University of Texas. And we'll see you in a couple of months on Golf Channel. Thanks again for joining us.
Thanks, guys. Appreciate
Thanks,
you.
Coach. All right. Good luck.
Bye.
Well, Roger, interesting. I mean, that is one of the beauties of this podcast for sure, to have a coach for a second time that has switched a job. Anyone that is switched a job in coaching, it's bittersweet. You're leaving behind athletes that you recruited and kind of promised you'd be there to help raise them. And then the other side, you're going to a school with players that they agreed to come play for someone else, and now it's you. It's obviously it's an amazing situation at the University of Texas, but it's also a tricky spot for a coach, probably just that first year.
No doubt. I mean, the anxiousness to come in and, what might happen, who's going to leave, will they leave, will they like me, not like me, like the style. Those are, I mean, from a coach's perspective, there's got to be some anxiousness. And I'm sure from a player's perspective, there's anxiousness of going, do I have what it takes to play for this person? Because, and I came here for this reason. I would like to know from the player perspective, right? What they're feeling. And we heard Laura talk about what she's feeling a little bit, and obviously excited, and, knows some of the players that's there because she did recruit them. And again, that Power 5 schools are always going to be in the same circle, right? So those kids are going to go play for Arizona, Stanford, Texas, TCU, those kind of things. But, Louisiana, Alabama. So they probably know everyone that's there, from that perspective. But as a player, I went through this a little bit, being recruited in football, or in the football situation where we had a whole team or a whole coaching staff get replaced my freshman year. And it changed it literally changed the trajectory of not only my football career, but also just the entire school football program. And you don't expect that. You come in thinking one thing, and boy, it's gone, right? Instantly, it's gone. So it would be very interesting, to hear how the players feel about it. But we hear enough, right? I mean, again, I think the thing that's happening in golf today in the college world, if we're not talking about NLI and things that are benefiting the golfer, not just the school, but the golfer themselves, hence the portal, why the popularity of the portal going, well, if you're not going to give me what I want, I'll go somewhere else that will. So how many players are doing that? How many players will look at that and go, okay, I'm going to jump right in the portal because I don't know how it's going to go. And it may go great for them, or it may not go so great for them. But at least there's probably some benefit to it, right? There's some benefit potentially for the player that's doing well.
Well, I would bet that out of every school that has switched to head coach, I would bet that Coach Ianello and Texas is one of the only where they didn't lose a player in the portal. And that's not an indictment on anyone. It's just reality of life. I agreed to something when I came here that is no longer what is happening. I'm going to see what else is out there. it speaks to Texas. It probably speaks to the NIL at Texas. It speaks to the facilities at Texas.
Yes.
But obviously, she's got a great situation. And I know, Roger, you and I will see that up close in October on Golf Channel. I know PDI and certainly you guys will be down there to talk to the coaches and to share your experiences on how their teams can take things to the next level with training. Certainly we welcome thank Coach Ianello. Roger, I thank you for fitting this in. I know busy is Roger Nick at all times. Can't wait to hear what you're working on next. But with that said, we'll cut it off there, abbreviated edition, but obviously love getting Coach Ianello, head coach at University of Texas, on board here, catching up with her, making the move from Arizona to the University of Texas. So for Roger and our director producer, Michael Nick, I'm Ryan Burr saying until next time, we'll catch you real soon on the Hub of Junior Golf Podcast.